Hi, and welcome to HLC's College Night, a parent question and answer webinar given by Mr. Fenwick of the Hunterdon Learning Center in conjunction with Francis Tardivi, HLC's curriculum supervisor. This is entitled From HLC to Life After HLC. It is a webinar that was presented on November 29th, 2011 for HLC parents, and it is to address HLC's transition services, issues in a transition for parents and students, and to try to answer any questions that you may or may not have about college and life after HLC. So in tonight's seminar, we're going to cover basically a little program history, what a transition currently looks like, and some interesting facts. And then in later, subsequent, hopefully in no more than 10-minute increment, web videos, such as the one you're watching, we will talk about standardized testing, applying to college, transcripts, financial aid, the college actual cost calculator, and IEPs in college. And we're trying to address some of the questions that did come up in the webinar or subsequently after. So the first thing that I want all my parents to understand is my role as the transition coordinator at HLC. Many of you may or may not realize that I am not only a teacher here at HLC, but also two other important facts. One, I am the father of two students with significant disabilities, in my case, both emotional. I am also a former learning disabled student myself, and Mrs. Tardivi always gets a chuckle when I say, just ask her if Mr. Fenwick is still learning disabled, and she will tell you emphatically that yes, I still face many of the challenges that I faced in school as an adult. I tell you these two things because I want parents to understand that when I give their students feedback about their goals and their aspirations, that I'm not doing it as a teacher, but also that as a parent, and that from the perspective of a learning disabled student who struggled in college, but did eventually make his way through it. In my case, I got through TCNJ and have a very nice degree hanging on my wall. So I always open these webinars with that information so that you understand that there is a perspective, and it's not just that as an educator. So I told you tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our program history and what we're doing currently. And before we do that, we're going to, and there's our agenda for the whole webinar. Again, it'll be broken into several parts. But before we get started with the first two items on our agenda, I do want to share an interesting statistic with parents. I always try to go around a week or so before, and I, in the past, have asked a similar question to seniors, but I really wanted to get a sense for where HLC students in general think that they're going at this point. And hopefully you can see by this paragraph, this is data that one of my seniors collected for me. I went around and posed the question, where would you go after graduation, given your preferences today, understanding that a 6th grader and a 10th grader and 11th grader are not going to necessarily know exactly what they want to do. I have seniors who don't know exactly what they want to do, and that's okay. But I do want to get a sense for all from the community where it is they want to go. And obviously the biggest piece here is out of college. And as we'll talk about in a moment, that is a change for HLC. The other biggest piece is the IDK, or the I don't know. Sorry for the abbreviation. And am I worried that a second majority of HLC students do not know where they want to go? I'm not concerned, at least in the least. Youth is a time of exploration, of trying to understand oneself, and that is why we do the things that we do here, to help them do that and move along in the process of understanding where it is they're going in the world. Now, program history, as you hopefully see on your screen now, is that before 2002, very few HLC students went on to higher education. Now, has that changed? Oh, definitely. We have more and more students, and we'll share some of that data with you later, going on and being successful in college. Before that, our program really wasn't aimed at students who are going to go on to college. Many of our students went on to work. That is not to say that HLC students did not go on to college, but far more these days are going on to college. I'm really abbreviating the history because I have done this presentation a number of times through the years, and I do want to keep people's interest high and get to the really important stuff. So what is it we're doing in HLC now? We're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment, but a little more about it. But one of the things I want to show you is this picture here. I apologize, I can't show you all the pictures here, but the one front and center is that of some people standing in front of what looks to be a goat. I was duly informed that it is not a goat, it is an Aggie. And what you see is one of our more recent trips that we do here at HLC for students out into the community to look at institutions of higher education. It is not always college. College is certainly a big part. If you go back to our graph, vocational and armed services are also places where our students are planning on going and do go. We'll talk more about those issues later, as well as the world of work. But back to this. When I first took over the transition program a number of years ago, and now going on 10 or 11, I've actually lost count. We didn't do a lot of college visits. I think maybe one college visit a year. And I'm glad to say that we average about 12 different visits a year to institutions, such as the one that, in this case, is Delaware Valley College in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, where a 2011 graduate of HLC is attending and having a great time. He was able to come and have lunch with us and answer a lot of the questions that I had for him as well as the students. So we do that. And of course, here we will do at least around 12. Some years it's more, sometimes it's less. Really is weather dependent. So, what else we do at HLC is we do careercruising.com. It is a website that we have. It is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is accessible at school or at home. This is a service we subscribe to. The students come into my classroom. I meet with every student through the course of the year at least once, I meet with them and we do the career cruising. It's basically an interest inventory and some other assessments of themselves to help them understand who they are and what their direction is and maybe where some of their challenges lay. And so we do this, we talk about the results and try to guide the students in their path to where they're going. I say that, and in the back of my mind, I have to say that students are going to change their mind. They may come in as a sixth grader and say, I'm going to do this, and say that all the way through to their senior year. And I always tell the story of the young man who told me in September when we first met, I'm going to be an auto mechanic. And every week would come in and meet with me and say, I'm going to be an auto mechanic. But then on May 6th, for some reason, he walked in that year one day and said, I'm going to be a baker. And so I say that I try to get the kids to think about what it is that they're trying, where they're going to go, and what they'd like to do. And that will change, but at least having some sense of having thought about it for a while helps them be in a better place to make a decision as to where they are going to go. And so that is my role here. That is what we do here. I will talk more about other resources we have at your disposal, probably in our last video, and I hope that you found this helpful and a good start to our video series on life after HLC. Maybe that's a more succinct name for our presentation. And I hope to see you on our next video. Thank you.